This very special Frank Caliendo interview and Browns Bengals preview episode of the Orange is Orange or Browns podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network, is brought to you by our great friends, good friends, you know them well, our presenting sponsors at Aligned Health Center and The Place. And at this point, you can probably read off this ad for us. Aligned Health Center is the first chiropractic biophysics clinic in Northern Ohio, serving patients in the Westlake and Beechwood areas. The team at Aligned Health Center helps patients with back pain, neck pain, migraine, ADHD, digestive issues, sleep disturbance, whiplash, scoliosis, and much more. Their mission is simple: to help people in the Westlake and Beechwood areas achieve the best possible health and overall wellness. Call Aligned Health Center today at 440-230-6865 or visit their website at alignedhealthcenters.com. Again, that's alignedhealthcenters.com to make an appointment or just to check out and see what they offer. You've heard this announcement all season. Give them a check at alignedhealthcenters.com. You never know how they can help you achieve the best overall wellness. We also like to give shouts to our other presenting sponsor, The Place. The Place is the one and only place for hot tub, spa, fireplace, and outdoor grill needs. They've been in business for 52 years, all family owned and operated. They're a full-service spa and fireplace superstore. They have a 16,000 square foot showroom with over 40 live burning fireplaces and over 40 hot tub and swim spas on display. It's impressive. They just renovated it. It looks amazing. They've been voted North America's #1 service center by Coast Spas 2 of the last 4 years, and they want to partner with us. Thank you, The Place. You guys are awesome. Visit The Place on 2377 Medina Road today to transform your backyard into the backyard of your dreams. When you think of fireplaces, hot tubs, grills, and patios, think The Place. In this episode, Jeremy and I interview impressionist legend Frank Caliendo. You've seen him on Mad TV. More likely, you've seen him on SportsCenter or any NFL show, imitating the likes of John Gruden, John Madden, Stephen A. Smith, all impressions he does on our show. Right here. If you just keep listening, you're going to hear him do it. It's amazing. He throws out as Tony Romo, former President George Bush, and President Trump. He was fantastic. Frank, if you're listening, thank you so much. Again, you can catch Frank in Cleveland, Ohio, Friday, December 6th. Visit frankcaliendo.com for tickets. Go check out his show. He's one of the greatest. Jay and I also preview the Browns-Bengals game on Sunday. I'm still down in the dumps about the team. I even go as far as to say we should bench Baker, Chubb, and Hunt. What am I saying? And start tanking and scheming for next year. Jay is way more optimistic about this team. Look, I'm not happy where I'm at. It's not fun. I don't like it. I'm a 100% optimist, but I got a really bad taste in my mouth about this team right now. Hopefully this team can turn it around. Regardless of where you stand with the team, I know this interview with Frank will put a smile on your face and improve your day. Enjoy it. Jeremy got to mark one off his bucket list with this one. It was a ton of fun. One of my favorite episodes so far. Jim Donovan, take us away.
45-40, run, William, run! He's got blockers in front, 5, touchdown! Joshua Cribbs! Snap back, ball down, can't block! They blocked the kick!
This is the Orange is Orange or Browns podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network. I'm your host, Chase Smith, and with me, as always, Browns insider Jeremy Powell. Jeremy, before we get to the show, the game preview, a very special guest with us tonight. I want you to introduce our special guest here.
Chase, I can't even believe it. It's been my favorite comedian for years. I've actually talked about him on the show before. The great Frank Caliendo. Frank, what is up?
Just being a legend, I don't know.
That is true. Thank you so much. We just want to talk a little sports, little Browns, a little bit about your career. A lot of fans here. But first off, word on the street is you have some family, some roots in the Cleveland area. Frank, are you a Browns fan?
What do you want me to say? It's hard to root for teams. I've met so many people. Drew Brees flew my family out and let my son watch game film with him a few years ago. Russell Wilson played catch with my son on his birthday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different things that I've been a part of. Steve Keim has done let us do a bunch of stuff with Larry Fitzgerald and Kyler Murray. So I don't know. And Gruden coaches the Raiders now.
Yeah.
It's tough when you have a friend coaching. How do you root against your friend coaching? So
no, absolutely.
If you're in the league, I think it's a little different because players see it a little differently and former coaches and stuff. But when you're just going as a fan your entire life and then you're led into this world a little bit, it's just it's an odd feeling. So my whole world is the real world for me is kind of like fantasy. I want all the guys I know to do well.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's a really
absolutely.
good point. And I think a lot of fans tend to forget that, like, there are real relationships. We're just watching it through a TV, through a screen. People who broadcast, who interview, who interact with these players and coaches and like personnel, like those are real relationships that go beyond four
Yeah,
quarters.
but most of those people that you're talking about have no souls. They're not like me.
Hey, so Frank, out of all the people you've met and all the people you've worked with in this incredible journey you've been on this last decade or so, who's like the coolest guy, nicest guy behind the scenes?
Nicest guy is probably Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
I don't think there's that guy is 100% everything you see in those interviews, super positive.
Yeah.
The world is a great place. Let me make it even better. That's actual Russell Wilson. But Drew Brees is super positive, super nice guy. I couldn't find a person nicer than him either. I don't know. It's those guys. J.J. Watt, another guy. He spent a couple different times with my son and me. So, yeah, most of the people I've met, the superstars, they're really good people. They kind of know how great they have it, and they try to help other people and be, as what's the word I'm looking for? Just as it's not helpful, but more like just generous with their time when they do have it. So kind of like me on this podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, thank you.
I just compared myself to Russell Wilson.
Hey man, you're in our book. You are that. You are that. Hey, I know you grew up in the Midwest. Was there ever a point in your career where, and I'm sure you were a big sports fan growing up, was there ever a point in your career where you were like, just looked around like, man, I could not believe this is my life? Like, it's such an incredible story.
I was in a room at Fox years ago, in the Fox building where they shoot Fox NFL Sunday, and I was in the room with Terry Bradshaw and Franco Harris, and they hadn't seen each other in years, and nobody was kicking me out of the room. I was like, what? This is crazy. Same kind of thing with like a Dr. Phil moment, where I was like, in a room with Dr. Phil and just talking to him, and it was just back and forth conversation. So I've had quite a few of those because I grew up in Waukesha, Wisconsin. I never expected any of this. I didn't even know what I wanted to do. I was kind of a B student, not super smart, not super motivated, just kind of floating through life. I wasn't a dumb kid. I wasn't a stupid kid, but I wasn't like some of the smart kids around me. And I didn't. And when you don't work that hard and you're a little bit above average, you need a lot of luck. So I cut the feet off a bunch of rabbits, my friends.
Yeah. Yep. At what point were you like, man, I'm just going to go all in on this comedy life, and really started to find some traction with that? Because it is hard work. You got to grind. And a lot of people that grind kind of wears them out. At what point we're like,
yeah, and I am a grinder. I've always been a grinder as opposed to an
rooting grinder, man.
I think. I tell you what, man, tremendous observation. People didn't believe it was me until I did that. So I was one of those people that I did a lot of working hard and nothing. I didn't take a ton of chances. I just went out there and put nose to the grindstone and just kind of went for it. Didn't stay doing a ton of radio and local TV, which is also known as a lot as bad TV. So just going out there and doing that constantly and selling tickets and working hard. When a lot of people would go into town, and this is what I do now because I don't have the time anymore. Because I have a family, is a lot of people would go they'd have Thursday, Friday, Saturday shows, and they'd go in, they'd miss the Thursday, they wouldn't do any press Thursday, they would get in for the Thursday night show, do Friday morning press, and then sell some tickets on Friday and Saturday. Well, I'd go into, let's say, Houston early, I'd go in on a Tuesday, start selling tickets on the sports stations, doing a bunch of press, and doing like Lance Zierlein show or somebody like that, and maybe a couple other shows as well. and the tickets would sell, and I looked like one of the biggest ticket sellers, and I was, but it was because I put 2 extra days in, and not only would I put the time in, they would have me on, because not everybody could get on all the different shows I could get on, because if when you have the bag of tricks, all the impressions, you can go on and just do just about anything. And in radio is a different world now. They police it so hard. It's tough. I can get on most things, but lots of comics, they're like, okay, we have 3 minutes. You can't sell any tickets in 3 minutes. That's a joke. You need to be on there for 15, 20 minutes or an hour or two on one of the biggest stations or the biggest station in the market to actually move the dial at all, unless you're super famous. If you're a YouTube star, you can do it because the people find you all over the place. Or if you have a podcast that people all know you, that's a different deal. That's what radio has lost, and they've lost it because people have all just gone and found their own loyalty in their podcasts.
Yeah, guys like Joe Rogan have completely changed, I think, the industry. Let me ask you this one. So,
there's a mistake. I'm sorry, but there's a mistake in your in that sentence. There are no other guys like Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan, the only. He can create. He creates stars. He's like Johnny Carson used to be. If you go on his podcast and you're good, you have to be good. Don't get me wrong. You have to be good. You have to be interesting. You have to bring something. But he can create stars. There are very few people can do that. People that come from the Joe Rogan tree, they're mega podcasters themselves because they're all so good. But he gave them the opportunity. So I don't know anybody else who's like that has that much power. And I think he's one of the most. Some people may consider him crazy in some ways, but he's one of the most logically thinking, absolutely. In terms of most of the stuff I've ever heard, I'm like, he's a sharp thinker. He's not a beast from Waukesha.
He can speak intelligently almost any subject. It's pretty crazy. Guys from all over different genres of everything he can talk with. Let me ask you this. One of my favorite things you did was when you'd go on Mike and Mike all the time. And when you and Stephen A. Smith and Stephen B. Smith were together, it was one of the funniest things. It was so good. It was appointment listening to me. I would not get out of my car until that was over. Now, the question I have
did you see? There were a couple of them we did. Do you remember, or did you hear it just on the radio?
I was on the radio listening to Mike and Mike on the radio. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, because I didn't know. There was one I did in Orlando that I thought was just okay, but there was another one that was like, I don't even remember when that one was, but that might have been like when we were making picks one time when Mike and Mike used to have me make picks against it. Like I did it with Shatner. I did it with Trump too. I was doing
it was
like
so
I'm friends with everybody, and that's why it's hard to pick against people.
Oh, it's so good. But this is the question I have of Stephen A. Smith. Is Stephen A. Smith like that all the time, or how much of that is an act, or is that really how he is all the time?
I think I haven't seen him for a while. I think it's a piece of him. It's like a comedian. Like there's a piece of you, but on television. The craziest thing I've ever seen is after Stephen A. got this huge contract, ESPN started using him for everything they could. And when he did I've always thought of him as like a number 4 hitter, right? It's like he's your cleanup hitter, and it's like they're putting him in the leadoff position so he gets on as much now. So when he's doing the NBA playoffs, he comes on and he's the host. He's like, going to have the greatest 64 hours of coverage. Like nobody can have that much energy for that long. It was just he's screaming and yelling for like 2 hours, and you're going, oh my goodness. But good for him too, though. I mean, I talked to him many times, and like when I try to do the impression of him, whenever I do it, it's hard because he has such an ability to just pull words spontaneously. Yeah. And he was a troubled reader as a child. He's like, Mr. Caliendo, let me say this. When I was young, I had trouble putting together words, and my mother said, learn the words and you'll never have trouble again. So I became the most definitive reader of my generation.
One more, Frank. My dad is a huge fan of yours as well. He loves your George W. How many times have you met George W? Have you done it face to face with him, and what does he think of it?
Never met him. I was supposed to during the Congressional Correspondents' Dinner, but it was right after Cheney had shot the guy in the face. And then they told me, the press corps told me they wanted Cheney to be seen laughing somewhere. So Bush claimed like he had to go to some island for some type of treaty. And it was just me and Dick Cheney. So I was supposed to meet him at the Super Bowl in Dallas. Mm-hmm. I got past the Secret Service. They cleared me and everything. And it was up in Jerry Jones's box. And they didn't want to interrupt Jerry while Bush was talking to him. But that was also when Madden and Bush were there together.
Oh, my God.
And Fox had the cameras ready to go during that Super Bowl. It was Pittsburgh, Green Bay. And they had the cameras ready to go. And I could have just voiced the whole thing. I know what you're saying. I believe that between the two of you, we have enough ability to figure out how far my face is stretched.
Oh, that's fantastic. So you never have met George W. Huh, in all that time, huh? And
no,
you have
met
met President Trump, though. You said, right? You interviewed him.
Yeah, it's tremendous. It was an incredible meeting. One of the best meetings I've ever had. I shot a sketch with him for Fox in the NFL on Fox. It was me, and he's like, it was very odd because he's like, dude, should I wear the same tie as you? I'm like, I don't have another tie. He's like, I'll get one. And he's like, Mark, go get me a tie. I was like, okay. So he ended up putting on the same tie. He totally got the joke at the time. I have no idea what he's like now, but at the time he was kind of in on the joke of what the Trump brand was.
My favorite actually all time is Al Pacino, and I've heard you talk about before how Al Pacino kind of changed when he did Son of a Woman. Son of a Woman's actually one of my favorite movies. Every time you talk about that, man, it's so funny, and your Al Pacino is so good. Unbelievable.
Well, it's pretty brilliant, isn't it? I gotta believe. I always agree with you. Yeah, I'm fantastic.
Dude, I would
whatever you said about me times 10.
Oh yeah. So Frank, do you have any impressions of Freddie Kitchens or any like Browns players you could kind of throw at us? I feel like Freddie's pretty unique.
He's just kind of that Southern guy.
Yeah,
he's got that Southern thing. If I were listening to him right now, I'd probably be able to pull it out a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure.
I did Good Morning Football this morning, and they pulled up like Sean McVay, and I did some Romo because I started working on the Romo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and those McVay. I've learned today. Actually, I didn't even have it until I did it. But Gruden, you furrow the brow, the eyes go down, the eyes close a little bit, and with McVay they kind of open up a little bit. So it's almost the same kind of cadence. Yeah, and then Tony Romo talks to everybody, or especially when he's doing a game. If you ever watch him and they cut to him, and he does this in the Skechers commercials and the Corona Hotline,
mm-hmm.
He looks like he's got the biggest secret about you in the world, and he's not telling you, but he's smiling the entire time about it. He's like,
right?
Yeah, Jim Nantz, along with my pal Tony Romo. Jim, you're not going to believe this is an incredible play. I've never seen anything this good. This is one of those kinds of play. Oh, here we go, Jim. And it was just that I've got 7 seconds in the future. I've got 7 seconds in the future. You're not going to believe what we're about to see, but here comes the play. This is going to be incredible.
Oh my gosh, that is so good, Frank. So tomorrow night you'll be at the Hard Rock Casino in Northfield. I will be there. All right. Can you give us a little preview of something new that maybe we don't know that's going to go on tomorrow night?
I got a whole new ballet routine I do. I do John Gruden. I'm doing the Nutcracker, man. Doing the Nutcracker in your nightmares. I'll tell you what, forget about those sugar plums dancing in your head. It's a Nutcracker on I just cut it off right there because I censored myself, man.
It's going to be great, man. Well, you can catch Frank Caliendo on the Frank Caliendo podcast. Try to be serious with Al Jackson and Frank Caliendo. FrankPods.com. Frank, thank you so much for being on the Orange is Orange, brother. It really means a lot. And it is really kind. I know you have a lot going on. So thank you so much.
Appreciate it, guys.
Yep.
Hey, I just want to let you know you're the second most famous guy behind Mike Lombardi to come on the show. And if you ask Mike, he will definitely say he's more famous than you.
Yeah, absolutely. he can have it.
He loves him some him. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.
Well, let's take a quick break, and Jay, when we come back, we'll talk about the game preview. We're back with our House of Hoodies game preview and narratives. Jeremy, we just got off the phone with Frank Caliendo. I wish we could have stuck on to talk Browns Bengals, the game that's on everyone's mind this weekend. Not really. 1 p.m. kickoff at First Energy Stadium in Cleveland, Ohio. The Bengals are 1-11. They just beat the Jets last week, picking up their first win, but they got their eye on the prize, the first pick in the NFL draft. The Giants are 2-10, so the Bengals have a 1-game lead over the Giants. We got a handful of teams with 3 wins: Lions, Dolphins, Redskins, Atlanta sitting at 3. The Browns are 5-7. And listen to a couple of these little nuggets, Jay. Per NFL.com, to slot receivers, this goes to your point you talked about on our episode a couple of days ago. The Dolphins are allowing 20 yards per receptions to slot receivers. All right, so there goes your the Bengals are terrible at I said Dolphins. The Bengals are terrible with pass defense, as well as the Cardinals.
Yeah, they're awful.
Per NFL.com, listen to this stat. Baker's passer rating is 79.9, the last in the league. Baker Mayfield has a worst passer rating in the NFL. The Bengals obviously just switched to Andy Dalton to pick up that first win. The Bengals' last 3 games, their defense is kind of coming on strong, allowing less than 20 points in 3 straight games. And listen to this, the Browns have scored fewer than 20 points in 7 games this season. What about our high-powered offense? How is that possible? What is going on? Nick Chubb is on pace for 1,500 yards. That would be second most in Browns history behind Hall of Fame Jim Brown. Jeremy, do you know the line to this game? Browns at home against the Bengals.
I don't know the line. I'm going to say 8.5 Browns, somewhere in that, little over a touchdown is what I would guess.
Browns by 8.5. You got it exact.
Oh, man, not bad.
So what can we expect in this game? What is going to happen here?
Here's what's going to happen. Browns are going to win. I told you that. They're going to win by 2 touchdowns. The Browns are good against bad teams. I've talked about this. You know why? Because a lot of times a really good talent alone can beat a bad team even if your scheme isn't up to par. So I think that right now with Freddie and the play calling being inconsistent, Bernie Kosar actually brought this up today. Bernie Kosar, in the nice Bernie Kosar kind of way, said the problem with the Browns is inconsistency is play calling. Okay, inconsistent play calling. So the thing with that is, though, when you have this kind of talent, you can overcome that against bad teams. So that's why you saw the Browns put all those points on Miami. You saw them beat the Dolphins earlier. The times the Browns played really well against bad teams because talent shines against bad teams. I used to say that about Kyrie Irving until the Cavs won the championship. Kyrie Irving was a star against bad defense, okay, because he's got ridiculous talent. The Browns have ridiculous talent, so they're in my opinion, the next 2 weeks they're going to run all over the Bengals and they're going to run all over the Cardinals because they're 2 of the worst defenses in the league. Kareem Hunt, I think, is going to have a big game. Chubb, I mean, just look at the weapons, you know. So scheme is a problem, but the talent is so immense on offense that it's going to beat up on bad teams, and I think the Browns are going to win by at least 2 touchdowns.
Well, I hope that the starting of Andy Dalton doesn't ignite this Bengals team to be this little feisty little hard out. We play them 2 more times in 4 weeks.
Right.
And if
it's not going to this week, they're going to come into Cleveland and they're going to get beat up on. You heard it here first. Mark it down. And last time I said mark it down in Penn, what game was that? The Dolphins. And how many points did I say we were going to score that game? Over 40.
You almost got it exactly.
Mark it down. I know. I think I said 41. I was almost the exact score before they scored late. I think I said 41-17 or something like that. It's going to happen again. The Browns are going to look – we're all going to get excited. They're going to blow out the Bengals. We're going to be okay. Then they're going to go to Arizona next week. They're going to blow out the Cardinals. We're all going to be super excited again, and then it's all going to come crashing back down to earth when we play the Ravens in 3 weeks. That's what's going to happen. I'm telling you, the Browns are world beaters against bad teams. They're going to come out in the first quarter and look awesome, score on their first possession like they always do. The Browns are actually second in the league on points, first possession points. I think they're going to keep putting it on, though, because the Bengals secondary is not good, and they're bad against the run. We have 2 of the best backs in the league. Greg Robinson is going to be back. I think the Browns, I think it's going to be similar to the Dolphins game. I think you're going to see the Browns jump on them early, get up 21-3, 21-7, and then, push it out with a late touchdown to make it like a 14-point game. That's my prediction.
I don't know what's going to happen. Here's what I know. Nothing the Browns have done has instilled confidence that they can be anybody, quarterbacked by anybody. And you have a veteran, mediocre quarterback in Andy Dalton with a team that, honestly, we kicked their butts last year. And I don't think they've forgotten that. I mean, we embarrassed them in Cincinnati. We beat their butts in Cleveland. I'm a little concerned about this game, Jay. I don't trust Cleveland. I don't trust the week on Twitter that we've had, even though it's just been a little crazy. I don't trust it. I feel good about it. And if we lose this game, let's jump to some narratives here, Jay. If we lose this game, dude, this narrative is, oh my gosh, the Browns are going to have a top
If we
five, top
lose this
seven
game,
pick.
it turns into draft picks and Freddie Kitchens' job. Okay, Freddie Kitchen is on the hot seat. You're going to learn a lot about Freddie Kitchen these last 4 games. Yes, the Browns still have a 6% chance of making the playoffs. Yes, if they went out and go 9-7, they'll have some tiebreaker type stuff. So there's a chance they can make the playoffs based on other team schedules. And the Oakland and Tennessee play each other this week. Few things. But you're going to learn a lot about Freddie. If these guys really like Freddie and they play for Freddie, the Browns should go 3-1 in the season, and Freddie will probably keep his job. If they don't like Freddie and they don't believe in the system, they're going to check out because it's not a suit. Yes, they're still alive for the playoffs. It'd be tough to win all 4 of those games. So you're going to see if the players really care, believe in the system, care about Freddie Kitchens, and go play for him. If they go out and get shellacked or lose a game to the Bengals even close, it's going to show something. And then they'll probably lose to Arizona the week after that. I just don't see it happening. I think talent alone is going to carry them over these next 2 weeks, and then we'll see what happens against Baltimore. So I know you would prefer the Browns lose the last 4 games just to ensure that Freddie is not back and to get a higher draft pick. Am I right, Chase?
Yeah, get him the heck out of here. I'm ready for him to go now.
Seriously, if you had to choose the Browns to go 3-1, finish 8-8, and Freddie keeps his job and they play Baltimore tough, let's just say, but lose, or they go 0-4 and Freddie's fired, which scenario would you choose?
No, 0-4 and he's fired.
Okay, yeah, that's what
We're not making the playoffs. That would give us a better draft pick. Get him out of there. Let's get a coach who knows what they're doing, and let's win the division in 2020. That's my opinion. What do I know? I only predicted Tyrod Taylor, Baker Mayfield, and like 16 other things that's happened. So I don't know. Who knows? Jeremy, if we lose, and then we'll talk about if we win here. If we lose the Bengals, does the narrative change on Baker Mayfield?
Probably not. I guess it depends on how he played. I went back and watched the Browns-Steelers game for a 3rd time, and Baker actually played pretty well, minus that last pass. There was actually some plays that he missed that Jarvis Landry – let's do this. I didn't talk about this in the first one. Jarvis Landry's catch on the sideline in the first drive of the game was one of the best catches I've ever seen in my life. I didn't acknowledge that enough in our preview. I want to talk about that. However, Jarvis had 2 drops. One of them was big. It's a catch that he usually makes. And if he makes that catch on 1st and 10 after the Terrence Mitchell interception, it'll be 1st and goal at the 2-yard line. Browns going in, and we're talking about a completely different thing, right? If they go and tie it up there, who knows what happens after that? That's a catch that Jarvis makes. It was a tough catch. It was a fade that was purposely thrown behind him, but I didn't realize until I watched it the 3rd time that ball hit him in the chest, right? Yeah. He should have made that catch. So I don't think Baker played that bad even after he bumped his hand. I think Baker played fairly well. Now, I don't know if you saw the clip that's floating around Twitter of some of McCray's blocks at left tackle.
Yeah, it's bad.
On Pass Pro. It's one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life.
It's bad.
It's horrific. Now, how can you blame Baker when he literally is running for his life? 7, 8, 9 attempts. He had no chance. There was the play where Bud Dupree, McCray never even touched him. Bud Dupree had a 10-yard sprint dead into Baker's ribs, right? How do you blame Baker for that?
That's when I tweeted he just got raptured.
Okay, yeah, and he did. I mean, that was horrific. It was just bad. So, you go back to your question, the narrative on Baker. I guess it depends on how he plays. I think Baker is, we were probably a little too hard on him. I think this offseason he definitely does need to lose 10 pounds or, gain some muscle, lose some fat. 15. We'll say 15. 15. But, I mean, he does need, I think he needs to be a little more nimble in the pocket. He's not horrible. He's getting better and better inside the pocket. If you notice he's starting to step up a little better, he needs to figure out a way to not always roll right, to get back to rolling left. I heard people talking about it today. I heard someone say, he always rolled right. That's not true. That play last year against Carolina, the unbelievable touchdown pass, 55-yarder to Jarvis Landry, that was rolling left. He escaped out of the pocket left and drilled the ball downfield. Another thing I wanted to talk about real quick, Chase, you were dead right. I didn't even pay attention to it until I watched it again the other day. The Hail Mary pass before the half where he hurt his hand, he threw that thing 68 yards in the air.
Dude, it was.
I think you're right. Even Odell was surprised at how far that ball went. So Baker has a cannon. He's got the moxie. John Dorsey. I tweeted this today, and obviously John Dorsey absolutely has everything we, do this offseason has to be centered around offensive linemen and safety. That's what it needs to be. Offensive linemen and safety.
If we win, and I'll say, Jeremy, when we win for you, when we beat the Bengals and continue
We're going to beat the Bengals, and we're going to beat Arizona. Mark it down.
I don't know if that's going to change the narrative of where the team is at right now, because the Bengals they're the worst team in the NFL. We have much more to lose in this game than we have to gain, is what I'm trying to say. If we win this game, it's just going to feel good to get in the win column. But I don't think it's going to be like, oh, the season is not lost. Like, I don't think you're going to see.
Well, I think if they win this week and then go to Arizona and win, and I think at 7-7 at that point, if a couple small things fall our way, we would still not. We'd probably be up to like 25% chance of making the playoffs. And then we have the Ravens coming in on the 22nd. So at the very least, we make that game interesting, right? 7-7 Browns versus whatever the Ravens are at that point. With if we were to upset them at home, we would have a shot to go to the playoffs, right? So, I mean, if we win these next two games, at the very least, it'll make that game at least interesting. And there's no chance if we win the next two, we cannot be eliminated from the playoffs. Actually, I saw that today at that point. So
I think we should bench Baker. I think we should bench Chubb and
oh my goodness,
and punt the rest
and just make sure we lose.
Yep. Why not?
You're still good.
The 9th draft pick is way better than the 19th draft or whatever wild card draft. Was it 16, 17? Just saying.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're playing for draft picks, yeah, you want to lose. But I think part of, even if they win 3 games, like I said, I think Freddie's back. And, obviously with Freddie and the coaching staff and probably still John Dorsey at this point, they're still trying to build a winning culture. So winning 3 of your last 4 leaves you at least with a decent taste in your mouth at 8-8. Now, like if you're rooting for the Browns to have a higher draft pick and to fire Freddie, then yeah, absolutely. You want them to go out and lay an egg Sunday and then the rest will be history. Because if they lose Sunday, if you're right, if they lose Sunday, I'm sure they'll lose in Arizona and then they'll get smacked around by the Ravens. And so then there will be a serious discussion at 5-10 at that point. If Freddie will be back or not. I mean, they went 7-8-1 last year. If you're 5-10 going into the last week against the Bengals, you better believe there's going to be heat on Freddie.
There's already heat on Freddie. We've already seen a ton of stuff about who
I'm talking Traeger grill heat. Okay, I'm talking he's going to be getting smoked out of town. Right?
Is Baker even going to play on Sunday? I mean, what's his status?
He's playing. He practiced fully today.
Okay, there were conflicting reports that he didn't throw, that he did throw.
No. That was yesterday. There's no conflicting reports today. A bunch of videos got shared by the beat reporters that were allowed to be there that he practiced full and he made all the throws today.
You're saying Baker's giving them an out for the rest of the season. It's like, hey, man, I don't know. I wouldn't be upset. Sashi would do it. Sashi would say, yo, we're benching that guy. We're benching our franchise quarterback. Baker's going to outlive the next 2 Browns head coaches, Jay. He's going to outlive Freddie Kitchens, and whatever coaches after that, if they bomb, he's going to outlive that coach.
I made you silly.
Just saying. Well, that is our House of Hoodies game preview and narratives, your number one source for hockey-style NFL sweatshirts. Super comfortable, super warm, and super stylish. Use promo code ORANGER at checkout to receive 20% off your order. And let me tell you, you're going to want that 20% off. Check out the entire NFL selection online at thehouseofhoodies.com. Follow them on Twitter at HOHoodies. Jay, what are some keys to the game if we want the Browns to really come away with the victory in Cleveland against the 1-11 Cincinnati Bengals?
Well, kind of what I've talked about for a few weeks, but it's even more imperative when you play a bad team, like I said with the Dolphins, jump on them early. If Bengals get down 21-3, it's going to be, here we go again. Why do I want to play? Here we go. So jump on them early. Don't let them breathe. Take the ball, go down the field and score, which they will. They'll either score a field goal or touchdown the first drive. They always do. That's their thing. So get on them early, score early, get a stop, score again, and I think that'll be it. But running the ball, I mean, the Bengals at one point were the worst team against the run in the league. I think they might have moved up a little bit, but even that Raiders game, they give up 130 yards to Jacobs, and actually Carr threw for 300. For whatever reason, the Raiders just couldn't get it in the end zone that day, right? Yeah. So So, the defense has been a little better, I guess. I know last week the whatever happened with the Jets, there's a debacle, but the week before that they were playing the Steelers, and Mason Rudolph, who had just got bopped in the head with a helmet and threw 4 picks in Cleveland, and he played the first half of that game. They bring in Devlin, and what's he do? He goes and throws a long touchdown pass right away. So I know Nathan was talking about a lot today on Cleveland Browns Daily that their defense has been playing better. I think there's some situations that went into that. Sam Hubbard didn't practice yesterday. He's, I believe, listed as questionable. He's probably their best. Him and Carlos Dunlap are their pass rushers. Carlos Dunlap had 3 sacks last week. I'd have to look and see what happened there. If you remember, Myles Garrett had 3 sacks against the Jets too. So it might have been just them being down a tackle. Greg Robinson should be back. He's just serviceable, but he's much better than McCray. So I just think if the Browns take care of business, play hard, I think Kareem Hunt is ready to explode. Even if he only gets 15, 16 carries, I think eventually here you're going to see him break 1 or 2 long ones. I mean, he was close, 3 or 4 times last week. He looks so explosive because he's probably just now getting his football legs back, right?
Yeah.
When most guys are wearing down and dead tired, Kareem's probably just now back completely into football shape.
Yep.
So I think you're going to see him break 1 or 2. I mean, people forget how incredibly good he is,
I think we had a coach who would realize that.
Could really figure it out, yeah. And we've been over this ad nauseum now about it being a running league again, but we'll let that go. So I just think, and then on defense, they have to find a way to get some pressure. Chad Thomas had another sack last week. He's getting better every week. Larry Ogunjobi. The Bengals have, some say, the worst offensive line in the league, okay, especially pass blocking. So you got to get Vernon. Vernon's going to be okay. He's going to play Ogunjobi and Chad Thomas. Big week for them. Help me out. Brian Cox Jr. Brian Cox Jr. has actually been really good. They've been impressed with what they've got out of him. He's put some pressure. He had a couple big hits in the Steelers game on Devlin. So I think those guys need to have a big game. I believe John Ross might play. He hasn't played. He got brought back from injury, the injured reserve designation to return. He'll be back. He's a speedster. Denzel Ward's pretty good against speedsters, so I'm not all that worried about it. I think Terrence Mitchell, if Greedy can't play, I think Terrence Mitchell actually right now is a better player than Greedy anyway. I understand why they were playing Greedy, so I don't think you lose much there. Demarius Randall is back. It sounds like, I heard Demarius Randall talk. It sounds like he's actually contrite. I think whatever happened, he actually has taken responsibility and kind of feels bad about it. So I'm not as worried about the secondary. I thought Sheldrick Redwine, after watching it again, didn't play bad. So if you can plug him in some at the third safety spot, because they play 3 safeties a lot with him and Burris and Randall, I feel okay with that. So I just think if they do what they're supposed to do, they don't have to do anything extraordinary to win. Just do what you're supposed to do, get on them early, and let the pass rush go. And, kind of neutralize Joe Mixon, who's having a good year, not a great year. I heard an incredible stat today. Joe Mixon led the AFC last year in rushing. Guess how many yards?
900 yards.
1,150. Guess how many Chubb has right now? 1,179. He's already over. He already has more yards than Joe Mixon, the AFC rushing champ, had all of last year, just to show what kind of year Nick Chubb is having. So I just think there's too much talent, skill talent. If they're all still playing hard, which they are. I mean, these guys have personal goals to play for as well. That's another thing. Odell Beckham Jr. said today he's going over 1,000 yards. Jarvis Landry's having the best year of his career. He's only 60 yards, I think, away from 1,000. So these guys still have personal things to play for, as well as this. There's still a 6% chance, so they have that to look at in the back of their heads. They got to win this week to keep that alive. But so it'd be interesting. But if they do what they're supposed to do, like I said, I think they win by 14 points or more.
I agree. One of the keys to the game has got to be to start hot. We are really good first, second drive team. You said we're the second in the league. We're efficient. We have an identity and we know what we're doing. Everyone knows what they're doing. We're quick, we're sharp, we're focused, and then it just all goes to crap. I want to add one more. I think you had a great list. Do what you're supposed to do. Let the pass rush go, neutralize Joe Mix. I think also don't panic. If things don't go well, if the Bengals get out to a 10-point lead in the first half, there's a lot of football left to be played. And maybe this is a word just for me, just as a fan, not to just completely give up. I know I've been characteristically down on the team the past couple of weeks. Even when we were 0-16, I never was I feel like I'm in a really different place now. I don't like the place I'm in, is what I'm trying to say. But when the team is down hey, guys, don't panic. Just keep playing football one drive at a time, one stop at a time, one first down at a time, and really fight back and get yourself back in the game if you are down. Don't panic. That's what I want to add, because I want to echo what you just said. But I think they do a good job of not panicking. I think that's how we got back into the Steelers game, right? Like, they didn't panic. They saw there's a lot of football left.
Sure. Yeah.
Really, I think not capitalizing on that interception was huge. I mean, that really, I think, saved the game for the Steelers, because we were in their territory. Sack put us out. And then we did that fake field goal punt thing. Like, just go for it. I don't know. Like, anyway, it worked out because they had the ball at the 1. But that's how they.
Yeah, no, actually, I thought that was actually pretty brilliant. I heard Mike Creeper talk about it. He said they hadn't worked on it since training camp, and to go out and execute it like that, hey, yeah, I understand what you're saying, but when it works and you have them buried, that's on the defense. Okay, we had them at the 6-inch line, right? If the defense makes a play in the backfield, it's a safety, and then the game's completely different too. So I don't have any problem with that. I thought that was a smart, well executed play. Right, I understand that, but what was it? 4th and 13, right? Yeah. So what are your odds of getting you had better odds of flipping the field, getting good field position again at that point. Now the defense didn't hold their part. Well, Pittsburgh is like hard. It's harder to kick. Was it a 52-yarder? It's harder. Pittsburgh only has had a handful of field goals over 50 yards ever. It's the hardest place to kick in the league. It's like kicking into the dog pound end every single time.
Well, then I understand why they did. Draft pick on the guy if he can't kick a 50-yard field goal.
All right, here we go. I'm not going to chase you win. Okay, you win. But I thought it was smart, and it was executed well. It's just then it was on the defense for not delivering.
What are some bold predictions for the game, brother?
Here it is. My bold prediction for the game, my big one, is they're going to go over 40 points again. They're going to rack up a shit ton of yards, 450 yards, over 40 points, and we win by 17 points.
I love it.
41-24 Browns.
You sound like preseason Chase right there, buddy. I love it. I love all those bold predictions. Here's my bold prediction, all right? To kind of go with my negativity, I might as well just make a whole thing of it. I think Hilliard's going to fumble a punt. It's going to happen. It's going to happen this game. He's finally going to make us lose the ball. I've not liked him returning punts ever since he was back there. And if you kind of follow along Twitter during games, I'm not the only one who feel this way. So I think he's really going to lose the job this week. He's going to fumble a punt. That's my bold prediction. Get him out of there. He needs to go with Freddie.
Man, you're crazy. You know what else? What other thing we haven't seen yet?
What?
Have we seen a fake punt yet?
No.
No.
When was the last time I can't remember a fake punt, Jeremy. Like I
know the famous Reggie Hodges fake punt. I would like to see the Scottish Haber run a little with it, right?
Yeah.
Let's see a fake punt, man. Come on, Prefer, pull something out. Would be the week to do it.
We've only had Jarvis or OBJ throw the ball once. That was against San Francisco.
Yeah, one of those things. You do something fun like that. Run a fake punt.
So maybe they're at home. All right. I'll do a positive bold prediction. We see a pass from OBJ or Jarvis in this game. I think we're at home against the worst. Like, let's have some fun. Why not? Get the players kind of talking and excited. I can see that happening. All right, we want to give shouts to our presenting sponsors, Alliant Health Center and The Place. Alliant Health Center is Northern Ohio's first chiropractic biophysics clinic. Their mission is simple: to help people in the West Lake and Beachwood areas achieve the best possible health and overall wellness. Shouts to The Place. The Place is a full-service fireplace and spa superstore. The Place has been in business for 52 years, all family-owned and operated, transforming your backyard into the backyard of your dreams. When you think of fireplaces, hot tubs, grills, and patios, think The Place. Also shouts to House of Hoodies for a game preview, and shouts, man, what a sentence to say, to Frank Caliendo for coming on the show. Jeremy, that was super cool. A dream come true for you, huh?
Oh, absolutely. So it's like, what is it? It's my unicorn, something I've been chasing. I really wanted to have Frank on. I'd asked him, 3 or 4 times to come on. He actually agreed a while ago, and then we never made it work. And then I just happened to see that he was in Cleveland tonight, so I shot him a text, and boom. Next thing I know, he's in my DM saying he'd do it. Pretty incredible. He was fun. He didn't disappoint. And just excited to have him. And what a cool way to, we're celebrating 100,000 downloads, and we get to celebrate it with Frank Caliendo. How cool is that?
Hey, check out frankcaliendo.com to buy some tickets. He's going to be in Cleveland area tomorrow, December 6th, Friday. Tickets are still available, MGM Northfield Park. frankcaliendo.com. Show your support to him. Go out, have a laugh, have a drink, have some fun. make some memories. Jeremy, thanks for coming on the show, brother.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Chase.
Let's go
Browns.
Let's
I don't care what you say. We're gonna win. I don't care what you say, Chase. I'm still rooting to win, baby. Let's go Browns.
Anything less is